Good morning, welcome to today's show. It's Jour de galop on Inside News, and thanks very much for joining us today. Obviously, we're going to talk about our normal show. It's talk a little bit about Saturday, my two to follow, some barrier trials, and then there was quite a lot of galops for the Barbie. In fact, today we're going to focus on Saturday's second classic, the Barbie Cup, and all the horses that I'm going to show you in training is ideal. Well, they've all been nominated for the Barbie. Whether or not they run remains to be seen, but I'll show you some of their galops. And then obviously we'll have the three normal barrier trials as well. Let's start off with Saturday. While we witnessed the second running of the 4-year-old championship, and I must say the Gajudai inmate, the great one, made quite easy work of it. But I have to say it was a very good ride from Daniel Stackhouse. Going past a winning post for the first time, that eased back the pace and he found himself 3 wide. I thought he made the right decision. Well, obviously he made the right decision because the horse went on and won a good race. But he made that decision to go around them. He didn't burn a lot of energy, and in fact up the backstretch he gave him a nice breather, and the great one quickened away quite well in the end, and he won a very good race. He's obviously a decent horse. His South African form's pretty solid. His first run here in Mauritius as well was a decent effort, and he's obviously a decent horse. He must have quite a lot of ability. I thought Lee Star was pretty unlucky. I think the draw beat him. Similar circumstances as the great one. Robbie found himself 3 wide, and he had to, instead of going forward, he had no option but to ease Lee Star back into the field, and obviously that cost him quite a couple of lengths. And then later on in the race, he got caught behind Newlands, who once again was going nowhere, and Robbie had to wait. And in fact, I think that also cost him a couple of lengths. So I thought Lee Star was very unlucky, but taking nothing away from the winner, it was a very, very good win from the winner, the great one. And I think he's obviously going to go on and win a couple more races here in Mauritius. Right, then I thought it was worthwhile mentioning the young rider, Brandon Louis. He rode 4 winners, and it was fantastic. Nice to see a young apprentice doing well, and he rode those 4 winners. And I did say to you on Friday, I thought he had a very good book of rides, and it's easy enough to get the rides, but you still have to bring them home, and he brought them home well in the end. I suppose a lot of people argue that he claims 4 kilos, and 3 of his winners went to the front, but that doesn't matter. We all start our career off somewhere. I thought his ride on Pride Rock when he came from off the pace was a very, very good ride. Showed a lot of sort of maturity and experience there, and I think that Brandon Louis is going to go on and be quite a decent rider here in Mauritius. The nice thing about him is he's stayed humble. His feet have remained on the ground, and nothing's gone to his head as yet. Let's hope he remains like that. I think he's going to be quite a successful jockey here in Mauritius. Let's hope he keeps going well, and I wish him all the best. Right, then I can tell you that Ricky Mango's jockey, Richard Oliver, he got a 2-week suspension for his ride in the last, in quite a controversial race. That a lot of talk about that race, but I leave the talk behind. I'm just here to give you the facts. But Richard Oliver did get a 2-week suspension. I think he got fined 25,000 rupees as well. That has to be clarified. Right, let's talk about my 2 to follow. The first one I want to talk about is Misty Roller from the Priton Debut stable. I thought this horse ran a cracker in the 4-year-old championship. Excellent run from him. No form to suggest before he came into this race, and although he was urged early on to get a good position, he was caught one off all the way after that. He had no cover, but in the straight he rallied on quite well, this horse, and he stayed on very, very well. Look, I understand he only had 52 kilograms, but if you look back at his South African form, and even the form that he's shown here in Mauritius, hasn't been that great, and it's nice to see that he's performed as well as he did. And if you go back to his form as well, he's probably done a little bit better over further, and I think that this horse in his category, over the right distance, I think he's definitely a horse worth following. It was a great run. In fact, he managed to just get beat by Lee Star on the line, which is a run full of merit from Mr. Roller. I'm expecting a little bit more from this horse, like I said, especially in his category, and over a nice trip of sort of 1850. Let's keep an eye on Misty Roller. I'll follow his training in the future. Right, then the next horse I want to talk about is Nightingale Lane from the Raj Ramdin stable. He ran in the last, that race that everyone's talking about, and I must admit, I know this horse personally, and he's always given me a good feel, this horse. He's got a long striding action. I personally would have liked to have seen him use that action a little bit better. He was eased back early in the race, and they went an absolute canter, and obviously that never suited Nightingale Lane. When it came to sprinting up in the straight, he just got caught a little bit flat-footed, but he got going late, and in fact he also got a bump as well, which didn't help matters at all. But Nightingale Lane, very nice run from him, and like I said, I do know this horse personally. I think he's a nice horse, and I think that he's probably going to go in and win 1 or 2 races this season for the Raj Ramdin stable, especially over the 1850, maybe even 2,100 meters later on. But I definitely think that Nightingale Lane is a horse worthwhile following. Right, well, that is the past. Let's talk about the future. And like I mentioned early on, it is the Barbie Cup this weekend. It is the second classic. It's going to be a very, very exciting race. And before we go into those gallops, let me just show you the barrier trials quickly, and then we'll talk about the horses galloping running in the nominated in the Barbie Cup. We still don't exactly know what the final field is going to be. But let's talk about the barrier trial. The first barrier trial was Patrick Mervin's horse, Dance on Air, Henry Tudor, and Toa Nui. Let's start off with Dance on Air. He's in the blue. He galloped for the second time, but this time fitted with blinkers. He's a 5-year-old. He won 5 races and ran with some top sorts. He performed well in all distances up to a 1600. He's rated as high as 64, and he's obviously above average. And it'll be interesting to see when he gets onto the race course. And Henry Tudor from the Pitram Derby yard is in the green jacket. He put up a very good gallop, which is not surprising, as he performed very well over sprints back in Cape Town. He should have won 2 races. His last race he was unlucky not to win on objection. He's a young horse, and he looks like he's going to be quite decent off his rating of 35. And then Toa Nui, well, he's from the Nagadu yard. He's in the yellow jacket, and unlike Henry Tudor, this was performed well over ground. As Henry Tudor was a sprinter, he did well over ground, and he won 1 race, but in fact he's actually won 2 races. But unlike Henry Tudor, once again, instead of winning an objection, this was lost his race on objection. So he should have been a 2-time winner, and I'm not surprised he finished a little bit further back in this gallop, because like I said, he is a stayer. But I think he's going to be okay, this horse. He gave me quite a, I was quite impressed with his gallop. But Dance on Air, obviously he's a very, very well-related horse and very high rating. He's obviously very above average. So that was the first barrier trial. I thought all 3 of them gave quite a good performance. Right, then we move over to the second barrier trial, where we had West Coast Warrior. He gallops in the red jacket. Captain Spanicella, they fitted him with blinkers. And then Overdose, he's from the Sharish Narang stable. West Coast Warrior, well, they put blinkers on him this time. He has galloped once before. And I noticed back in South Africa, he never tried blinkers, but he managed to bag 4 wins over sort of middle distances. And he won a 73 last time in South Africa, merit rating 73, which is not bad. And hence he'll come here 44, and I think that he's going to be okay. Then Captain Spanicella, well, he's been unlucky in his last 2 starts, and I see they've decided to fit him with blinkers. They've removed the pacifiers, and it'll be interesting to see if they run him with the blinkers. But I thought he put up a very good performance with the blinkers. He jumped out and he showed a lot of speed over this 1,000 meters. And Captain Spanicella, I think with the blinkers is worthwhile watching. And then Overdose from the Sharish Narang yard. He's in the yellow jacket. This was only win in South Africa was over 2,400 meters, and obviously this 1,000 meters was way too short for him. He also gets squeezed at the top of the straight, which doesn't help his gallop at all. But he finished a couple of lengths off them, but I'm not too worried. Like I said, this horse, he looks like a big stayer, so I'm not too worried about him. Obviously, as you all know, new horses have to go through the trials, and you can't judge them over sort of 1,000 meters. So Overdose, definitely one I think will be a decent horse once he goes over ground. Right, then the third and final gallop, there were 4 horses here. The Tripster from Simon Jones, Redline Captain from the Reset Yard, and Captain Command from Jean-Michel Henry, and then Atada from, he also galloped with him as well. I think he's from the Mervyn stable. The Tripster, well, he hasn't run since last year when he won in October, and obviously he's making a comeback. He's obviously had a couple of soundness issues, the reason why he hasn't ran this long, but he looked pretty good in the gallop. And hopefully he's over those sort of issues, because he's not a bad horse on his day. Remember, he did beat the likes of Prince of Thieves, which is no slouch. So the Tripster, let's hope he's sound and he's back. He put up a good gallop. Then Redline Captain from the Reset Yard. Well, we've seen him on the grass already. In fact, I think that day he galloped with Captain Rum, and we all saw what Captain Rum came out and did. He's a Captain L just like Captain Rum, and I believe that he's quite a nice horse. He's only had the 4 runs in South Africa. His last run was the best when he ran second. He's only rated 26, and I think he's going to be quite a nice buy for the Reset Yard. And then Captain's Command from the Jean-Michel stable. Well, he finished a couple of lengths off the Tripster and Redline Captain. He's only had 3 runs in South Africa. His best run was his last run, where he finished second. I think he only got beat half a length, and but that was over ground. This horse is looking for a little bit of ground, so like once again, don't look into his gallop. And then Atada, well, he didn't gallop too well. In fact, he's only had 2 career starts, this horse, and He ran second first time out, but he never really followed that up. So it'll be interesting to see if he improves. Look, he's only had 2 runs, so obviously there's a lot of scope for improvement from Tada. All right, that's the 3 barrier trials. I thought there was a couple of horses in those barrier trials that were definitely worthwhile following, and I'll keep an eye on them and keep you guys posted. All right, let's talk about the Barbie gallops, and then also there was 1 or 2 on the sand track I wanted to mention as well. Let's start off with Parachute Man from the Ricky Mangard stable. He's the previous horse of the year. He's only had 1 start this year. I suppose he never really had a hard gallop. He was sort of like in hand, and well, he's a decent horse. And remember, he came into last year's Barbie without a run. At least this year he's had a run. So last year's Barbie, it was his first run of the season. He only got beat 2 lengths at the end of the day, and obviously he's going to be a lot better. Well, he's going to be a lot fitter this time, Parachute Man, and he's definitely worthwhile keeping an eye on. Remember, class is class. He is a decent horse on his day. Right, the next gallop was Kremlin Captain and Ready to Attack. I thought this was quite a nice gallop. Both these horses are previous classic winners and horses of the year. Both are champions in their own right. Who can forget the way Kremlin Captain won that Barbie in 2016, a runaway winner in the Barbie. And then Ready to Attack, well, he was last year's Gold Cup winner. And like I said, he's only had the 2 runs this season. I thought that he was too handy last time. In my opinion, he doesn't like to race up handy. And I think I'm expecting a much better run from Ready to Attack. He has beaten the best at level weights. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do that again. Right, then we stick with the with the Gajara stable. In fact, I think they've got 5 horses entered in the race. The next 2 is Table Bay and Tandraji. And well, Table Bay is whispered to be he's whispered to be the favorite. I wouldn't say the favorite on the books, but a lot of people are saying that this horse is going to be the right horse for the Barbie Cup. Remember, he did run in the Duchess, and then last time you can just draw a line through that run. He was drawn badly. He got caught 3 wide the whole way, and like I said, I think it's a race to be ignored. He's looking very, very good, this horse. You can't fault his South African form. He's got excellent form, and I don't think the 1600 is going to be a problem for him, especially at Champ de Mars. And I'm expecting a good run from Table Bay. It'll be interesting to see who Daniel Stackhouse decides to ride in this specific race. And then obviously Tandraji, well, he's just getting older and older, but he keeps that form line. It's amazing how he does it, but it's obviously just going to get tougher and tougher as he gets older, and taking on the younger horses is going to get tougher for him. But Tandraji, well, I'd love to see him win. He's been such a good horse for Mauritian racing. Right, we're going to stick with the Gajara stable. This time we saw Saint-Tropez and Enard. Saint-Tropez, I don't think he's nominated. Enard, he won the Maiden Cup last year, and I suppose we haven't seen him this year. Excuse me, we haven't seen him this year. And obviously, I think he might just be in need of this run, but you never know. He's going to come off fresh. The pace is definitely going to be on in this race, which is going to suit Enard. So you can't write him off. He's a very, very good horse, in my opinion. But obviously, he has got bigger fish to fry later in the season. He's going to want to retain that Maiden Cup tag of his and see if he can win it twice in a row. Then King Mamba's Legacy from the Pritam Dhabi stable. Just like a couple of other horses, he didn't gallop very, very hard, this horse. And he just sort of went around the track. And I have to say that he's a decent horse, and you would imagine, just like sort of Enard and Parachute Man, I would imagine that he's probably going to be targeted to the Maiden Cup later on the year, but he deserves his place in the Barbie if he gets it, and I wouldn't be surprised if this horse fills up the back ends of the quartet or something, because like I said, they're going to be going quick. I think that this horse, he's got the stamina, he has got a bit of class as well. So King Mamba's Legacy, I thought it was, even though it never galloped hard, it was a nice gallop. All right, those are the gallops, and we're going to turn over to the sand track where I saw Kara. And who can forget about his last win? It was an emphatic win. All right, he did have 3 kilos off his back. I do realize that, but I believe that this horse would have won just as well without the 3 kilos. The nice thing I liked about Kara's win last time is that they settled him in instead of him rushing him off to the front, and he quickened up beautifully. He showed a beautiful acceleration. And Kara, well, he's running 2 weight for age group races, and he hasn't disgraced himself. In fact, his first run in 2016. He only got beat just over a length by Tandraji, I think it was. And then last year, well, you can ignore that run in the Gold Cup. He was hopelessly drawn and he was chased around, and I think we can draw a line to that. In my opinion, Kara's a much stronger and better horse, so he's definitely a horse to keep an eye on. Then 10 Gun Salute, his stable companion. I thought he also Galop very, very well. He showed his South African form when he won last time. I have to say, I thought it was a great ride from Robbie when they were going slow and he pulled off the fence. In fact, he was pulling quite hard and he went around them, and I thought he won a very, very good race. Remember, this horse has got very good South African form. He's a Group 1 winner, and probably 1600 not his ideal distance. Another horse will probably be better suited to the Maiden Cup as well, but he is classy, this horse, and class, like I said earlier on, class is class. And I thought his work was pretty good. Interesting to see who Robbie Fay is going to ride, 10 Gun Salute or Cara. Obviously, we'll only know that on Thursday morning. And then Baritone from Jean-Michel Henry stable. Well, I just love the way this horse has won his 2 races in Mauritius, especially the Duchess. He quickened up beautiful, and he quickened up in a strong field. And I thought that was a very, very good win. Obviously, his second run, he probably needed it, and he came out his next start and he trounced Hard Day's Night. I thought it was a very, very good win. And I think that the 1600 is going to suit Baritone as well. I think it's ideal distance for Baritone. And I think he's definitely a big, big runner in the second classic. I don't think Jean-Michel's won a classic yet. It'll be nice to see him pick up a classic win. Obviously, sorry, he won the Duchess. So this will probably, it could be his second classic win. All right, then one horse that that I saw was Hard Day's Night. Unfortunately, we don't have footage of him, but I thought he worked quite well. But obviously, it's getting a little bit tougher for Hard Day's Night. Stepping up to the 1600, he has beaten Baritone and Cara, but obviously, on both those horses, he was better off on the weights with him. It's now level weights. It's obviously going to get a little bit tougher for Hard Day's Night. Unfortunately, we don't have footage of his work, but I thought he put up quite a good sand work on Tuesday morning. Right, well, there we go. That's all we got. And remember, we're going to be here on Friday morning. I'm hoping Shahil will be joining me because I know he's quite interested in doing the Barbic Cup preview with me, and catch up with us then. Thanks very much for joining us. See you on Friday. Goodbye.